Supreme Lord, eternal truth, let us obey thee alone and live according to truth. परमोच प्रभु सत्यम नित्यत्वमेव केवलम अनुवर्तामहे सत्यम अनुजीवम केवलम ओम शांति शांति शांति. Good morning, Namaste, Vande Mataram, welcome all of you. The topic of this morning's discussion will be on visions and symbols for the psychic opening. So it is an interesting topic. We must know something. Usually we see visions in most of the times. Consciously we see it. This is the fact we see in not only once or twice, in many, in often, again and again we see. But thing is that many symbols we see, that is actually it creates a hindrance in our yogic progress, and some are actually helpful. Now we will see what are the symbols actually that signifies the opening of the psychic being. We will see it as quoted by Sri Aurobindo, as explained by Sri Aurobindo. Few will see. So Sri Aurobindo initially quotes the child usually signifies the psychic being. When we are seeing the child in our vision, that signifies that it is usually a psychic being. And a newborn, in the sense, if the child is newborn, it is in the sense that it at last comes to the surface, not in the mother's womb. It has come down, come into the surface. So it has surfaced itself. It has come out. As we have seen that the psychic is actually veiled. It is passive. It is on behind the veil. But here the newborn child means it is coming to the surface. The color, sometimes color of the cloth with which it is coming, the child is coming, it means that it comes with health, internal and external, or both, and the spiritual riches. That is a very good sign when we are seeing the newborn child, or child of different ages. So it indicates the opening of the psychic, usually signifies the psychic. The child, again, when it does not mean that a psychic being, sometimes there is a probability when does not mean that psychic being, is usually the symbol of something newborn in some part of the consciousness. The psychic being that is newborn in the consciousness, that is added significance in the psychic opening and in the yogas also. When we will see the color red, it has got many different things according to the shade of this color. So again, Sri Aurobindo quotes when we see a dream like this of a child, the newborn child especially usually signifies the birth or awakening of the consciousness of the soul or psychic being in the outward nature. Newborn child, it signifies birth or awakening of the soul or psychic being in the outward nature. So when we see the newborn child, of course, many times this condition may not be perfect, but actually child of varying age, but newborn child, it has got its own significance in a better way. So sometimes we see also golden child. That is a very significant part of this vision. That is a very thing to be actually understood again and again. It is a very interesting scene. I suppose the golden child here in the course is the truth soul. Golden child is the truth soul which follows after the silver light of the spiritual. Golden child is the truth soul, so which followed the silver light of the spiritual. When it plunges into the black waters of the subconscient, we know the color of the subconscient is black, so it never is interested to be changed. So when this it plunges, means the truth soul or golden child, it actually plunges into the black waters of the subconscient. Then what happens? It releases from it the spiritual light. From the golden child, some spiritual light is actually released, and the sevenfold streams of the divine energy, not only the spiritual light, and simultaneously among with it sevenfold streams of the dream energy and clearing itself the strains of the subconscient. So whatever the subconscient is there, that is actually black waters, that is, it is blackish. When the truth soul or golden child is emerging, that light, actually it prepares the change, and the strains of the subconscient gets cleared. So it prepares for the flight into the supreme divine, the mother. So with the release of the spiritual light and sevenfold streams of the divine energy, the subconscious blackness actually changes, and it prepares itself for the rise or for the for the flight towards the supreme light or to the mother. Sometimes, excluding this one, we also see some flutes. We see that a Bangsi, flute is there, Krishna, Sri Krishna's Bangsi is a symbol of a call, usually a spiritual call. Then the flute is also in other way, it is known as the call of the divine. So again, we'll see something that they did a conch, Sankha. We have seen in some that ancient wars and all that conch was actually, it was that sound was spreading everywhere in the beginning or in the end. We have seen in the Mahabharata war also. The conch is the symbol of the spiritual call. So when we are seeing the conch really outwardly, this is the spiritual call. And this comes, of course, later here in the course, this is the call to the realization. The conch is perhaps the proclamation of the victory. After the victory, we see the V mark with two fingers, or it is the conch shell that we blow. That is the captain blows really, that is the proclamation, perhaps the proclamation of the victory. So sometimes we find the bindu, a point we see. We feel this is actually neglected one. It has got known that much deeper meaning. But still in the course, the zero carries infinity in its womb. So this bindu, which is the symbol of the infinity in its exceedingly small, the individual point that is yet to be universal. It is, but actually the infinity is well hidden. Zero carries the infinity in its womb. Zero covers the infinity, like that bindu, that the point is there. It has got a huge significance, huge big significance. Sometimes we find the symbol of bina. That is actually, it is the significantly, it symbolizes harmony. The crown, sometimes we see victory. The crown, we see sometimes in many, not sometimes, even sometimes or many times in the vision. The crown is the sign of fulfillment. That indicates the higher consciousness. Crown, that is, of course, preserved on the top. So that consciousness has to get elevated there. Mm, Aspiration shows the image of the crown. For that spiritual crown, someone has to go for the deep aspiration. With the help of this deeper aspiration, there is a possibility of getting into to reach into the higher consciousness in its static condition. Sometimes also we see the wheel also, that also it is seen, that is a dynamic action, but crown is of course static. So with that also, that light is better acquainted. The red light is the power sent down to change the physical. So red light, it is sent into the lower hemisphere to change the physical. Sometimes we find a book that indicates kind of knowledge. So the ears, we have got two ears we see sometimes, that is a piece of inspired knowledge or else the inspired expression. Red and gold means truth and power joined together. When this ears we are seeing with the color red means red and gold, it means truth and power joined together. Sometimes we find also the actually symbol of a building, huge building or something we see, like this building like symbol, that is the symbol of the new creation. Sometimes also we find pyramid. That structure pyramid we love during the gymnasium and gym and all. So we find many ways the pyramid is very much peculiar and very much actually well known to us. Pyramid usually is a symbol of aspiration. Reddish, if the color is reddish, perhaps becomes in the physical. Already, many times we have seen that the reddish is the physical. So higher energy. That aspiration must reach that higher consciousness, and from the higher consciousness, from the higher sphere, light and red, power and strength, light is coming to change this physical. So sometimes we have seen that the Sphinx, in many ways, it has been described very interestingly. The myth of the Sphinx we have seen. It is all this. This has been taken from the Greek mythology, of course. Very interestingly, Sri Aurobindo has quoted a couple of times in Savitri in different places. That is the riddling creature with the head of a man. That is the head of a man. Very beautiful description by Sri Aurobindo. Head of the woman, lion's body upon winged. That is the description of the Sphinx. So when we see Sphinx in the symbol of eternal quest that can only be answered by the secret knowledge. So eternal quest, Sphinx is a Greek mythology. It has been brought. It signifies eternal quest and can only be answered by the secret knowledge. Sometimes we find the cross. Cross, when it is coming, we are going back to the Jesus crucifixion. We have seen the cross is the sign of triple being, transcendent, universal, and individual. So when this cross is coming to the front, to the fore, to the symbolically, it is coming to the vision. So it indicates the sign of the triple being. Already we have seen three aspects of the divine that we have already discussed. That is the triple being, transcendent, universal, and individual. Against here in the course, the cross indicates the triple divine, transcendent, universal, and individual. And this shield, the shield before we keep while we go for this protection, protector division. Of course, here in the course, the shield means it is protection. Sometimes we see the chakra, Sudarshana chakra, that wheel we have seen many times in Mahabharata Yuddha, it was there. When we are going to describe about the Krishna, Lord Vishnu, Krishna, Narayana, so this chakra is coming. Circular movement and the chakra is always the sign of energy and action, gradually, creative action, that is very wonderful chakra. And this Sudarshan chakra symbolizes action of the Sri Krishna's force, very interesting. When the Sudarshana Chakra is indicated, it is directly connected with Sri Krishna, and we are going, our vision, our action, our thought is actually going long back to the Mahabharata war and Sri Krishna's style of action. A revolving disc means a force in action that is in nature. A whitish blue light knows the Krishna's light, also it is also Sri Aurobindo's light. And only a white light, perhaps it is definitely the mother's light. The wheel again, the sign of action of force, it is actually indeed symbolically it realizes. So it is surging upwards, it must be the fire of aspiration. When the wheel, the chakra is wheeling upwards, it is the like it is the fire of aspiration rising from the vital naval center into the higher consciousness that we have already seen. A bow, sometimes we find a bow that is a symbol of force sent out to reach the mark that has been that arrow that is going from the bow. Bow is the symbol of force sent out to reach the mark. And many times in spiritual symbols, while the psyche we use the incense stick. So incense flowers, they have got better significance in our integral yoga. So mostly we love mother, we love to offer our incense stick, many different colored flowers and all. So incense stick is the symbol of self consecration. As the incense sticks entirely gets burnt up, it offers to the divine. So life must blossom like a flower, offering itself for the divine. He burnt the incense of his nights and days, offering the life as a splendor of sacrifice. So here the incense stick is the symbol of self consecration. That holds a big symbol, big significance in the yoga. Thank you, Vande Mataram.